Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, you irreplaceable you. Just one look at you, my heart grew tipsy in me. You and you alone bring out the gypsy in me. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa do. My sweet embraceable you. Mm-hmm. 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 Da-dum, da-da-dee, da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum. La-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa do. My sweet embraceable you. Hi there. My name is Bella Gíl. I am a first-generation Ecuadorian, and I'm from Virginia, originally, and near DC area. And DC has a big jazz scene, and my dad was a jazz singer. He's retired now, but he was a jazz singer. And so I grew up just listening to jazz, and like Great American Songbook classics, all the standards. He would have his band come over and play all the classics, and he'd have like his quintet over. So I got to see all the instruments, and I would just sit there in the living room as a baby just listening to jazz, and they played stuff like Embraceable You, the song I just sang. I don't know, remember if that's Gershwin or Cole Porter. But anyway, those classics like that were what I grew up on. Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack in general, and my dad's a big bossa nova guy, and so I listened to like Stan Getz a lot, Jobim, and that's kind of all the music I knew growing up was jazz and classics. And another type of music that my dad introduced me to a lot was musical theater. The first movie I ever saw was Singing in the Rain. It's my favorite movie in the entire world. If you haven't seen it, go see it now. What are you doing? I would sit in my living room and make my family play Singing in the Rain for me so I could watch it. And there's a video of me when I was very small, still in diapers. And I knew all the lyrics to Singing in the Rain. And I knew all the dance moves. And I was doing it while I was still in diapers. And so the kind of music I grew up with, I'd say, is a little different. I don't want to like box myself in, but definitely a little different than what most people grew up with, because I grew up with old movie musicals and jazz. But I love it so much. It's my entire life. I sing jazz locally here in LA. And I remember when I was a kid, I would accompany my dad to jazz clubs like Blues Alley in DC, which is a very well-known jazz club in the DC area. And I think that would be a cool full circle moment, is if I got to sing there, maybe with my dad. That would be really fun. But no, I credit my dad for every Um, any performance thing I like is I credit my father. And I think that jazz is such a beautiful kind of sound, and I'm hoping that it will regain its popularity, which I will get to later. But for now, another thing I want to talk about are movie scores. I grew up loving movie scores as well, specifically John Williams. Um, all movie scores are great. Like, I also am a big fan of like Bernard Herrmann, who wrote Vertigo. Um, he's amazing. But John Williams, like he's my guy. I keep going back to saying I grew up also loving like Superman and Indiana Jones and obviously Star Wars. But he has this way of making music like tell this story with his, and he's not even adding lyrics to it. He's just playing he's just, the instrumental. And I went and saw him in concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and I've seen it. He does it every year. He goes like in Labor Day weekend, usually every year. This was maybe like 5 years ago at the concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and Steven Spielberg was a guest. And he played a clip from Indiana Jones without any music. It was so boring. And it just kind of was awkward. And you couldn't really tell what was going on. And then he played the clip again with music by John Williams, and it just brought the scene to life. And so I think that's so beautiful that movie scores have the ability to bring scenes to life. Because I highly doubt Star Wars or any of those movies would be as big as they were without that da 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 da. I mean, it's just, that's when you think of Star Wars, you think of that. And so I think that's so amazing that movie scores have that ability to do that. And I just love John Williams so much. A new documentary just came out on Disney Plus about him. So give it a listen. Give it a watch if you can. But he also, his start was in jazz. So I think those are connected. My love of jazz and my love of John Williams. But anyway, the next song I want to sing is actually a John Williams song. I think don't quote me on this, please. But I think it's one of the only songs that he has lyrics to. It's from the 1978 Richard Donner Superman movie. Originally, it was supposed to be sung in the movie, but then I don't think Margot Kidder wanted to sing it, or they thought she didn't sound good or something. And so she spoke it. It's When They're Flying, but it's actually the words she's speaking in the movie go to the tune of the song. And so that's what I will be singing for you next. Let's imagine that we're flying in the sky with Christopher Reeve. Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is you do to me? Don't know who you are, just a friend from another star. Here I am, like a kid out of school, holding hands with a God, I'm a fool. Would you look at me quivering like a little girl shivering? You can see right through me. Can you read my mind? Can you picture the things I'm thinking of? Wondering why you are all the wonderful things you are. You can fly, you belong to the sky. You and I could belong to each other. If you need a friend, I'm the one to fly to. If you need to be loved, here I am. Read my Oh, beautiful song. I think my favorite John Williams piece is probably the love theme from Superman, which that was the love theme from Superman. Um, enough about John Williams. Oh, I could talk about John Williams for days. He's great. Hi, John. No, he would not be one. I mean, maybe. He's 90, 93. Does he go on the internet? He might. So if you are watching this, John, hi. um, I also have a big musical theater background. I grew up loving musical theater, and that was my first like professional acting job was musical theater work. I played Maria in West Side Story. I was also debating singing some West Side Story, but I don't think I'm going to. Sondheim, amazing. Leonard Bernstein, amazing. And a lot of jazz standards actually were placed into musicals. I think that song, the first song I sang, was put into a musical. I'm forgetting the musical. Musical called Crazy for You, I believe. And like Anything Goes is all standards. So I think musical theater, jazz, and movie scores too, they all kind of connect. So maybe that's why I like them all so much. But speaking of jazz, not as many people like it anymore. And that makes me sad. It's not as listened to as much anymore. I don't go out and they don't blast Sinatra at the club. They should. Come on, think of blasting New York, New York at the club. That'd be fun. I could get down to that. No, my grandmother, she used to tell me how she was, what were they called? Soxers, Bobby Soxers, something. But she would just like wait outside of wherever Frank Sinatra was, and all the girls would be screaming, just to get a glimpse of him whenever he'd leave a concert venue. And I think that's amazing because Sinatra was truly the, who's like the big star now? Harry Styles? No, that was a while ago. I don't know who the big star is now. But anyway, that's who Sinatra was, and I think that's great. But there's this one artist that I love that's very contemporary, and she's kind of bringing back jazz. Her name is Leve. I adore her music. She pays homage to bossa nova and jazz, and she won a Grammy last year. Like, she's doing great, and her voice is beautiful. It's like butter. I love her songs. They're so catchy, and I think that they're jazz, and it's great, and more people are listening to it because of her. And so I really think that she's like helping bring back jazz music, and so I really, really love Leve. And so I would love to sing one of Leve's songs, which is called From the Start. Please enjoy. Don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no one else around? Me and you and awkward silence. Don't you dare look at me that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. Oh, the burning pain, listening to you harp on about some new soulmate. She's so perfect, blah, blah, blah. Oh, how I wish you'd wake up one day. Run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk to you, oh, Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I love you from the start. Ba-ya-ba-dum, da-ba-da-ba-dum, da-ya-ba-dum, ba-ya-da-ya-da-dum, ba-da-ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. What's a girl to do, lying on my bed staring into the blue. Unrequited, terrifying, love is driving me a bit insane. Have to get this off my chest. I'm telling you today that when I talk to you, oh Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Confess I loved you, just thinking of you. I know I loved you from the start. Thank you all so much. It was very nice to meet all of you virtually. My name is Bella Gíl, and go listen to some John Williams today, or jazz. For me, do it for me. Or musical theater too.